Hi, my name is Carlo Volpe,
And I'm Desmond Silva,
and
and
welcome to
welcome to
Centerville
Centerville
Voice.
Voice.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Centerville Voice. My name is Carlo, and my good friend here, Desmond. How are you, Des?
Okay, but you, Carlo?
I'm good, Des. Thanks so much, bud. Thanks for joining me again, Desmond. And thanks, everybody, for watching, and thanks for listening. This is Centerville Voice. This is episode number 29. And, Des, we want to get right into it today with what's been going on for better part of a week here in Canada. It's the trucker convoy, the protest slash convoy slash rally. First of all, I'm a big supporter of it, but I want to get into it. But what are your initial takes on it, and where did it come from, and all that, maybe?
Well, I think it's as far as where it came from. Everyone thinks that this is mainly about the vaccine. It's not mainly about the vaccine. It's about the mandates, and also about in general, as well as several other policies that happened before the mandates ever happened. This is just the final straw that broke the camel's back, as a lot of people are saying. Is that it's not otherwise it wouldn't be such a big deal. The vast majority of people who are protesting are actually vaccinated. So this is not an anti-vax movement, even though there are some people in there who are not for the vaccine and are actually against it. But the majority of people are actually vaccinated and the majority are actually like double vaccinated. So they got the 2 shots.
Yeah.
And then there's some who are only one, and there's some who are only like a single booster. I'll have the 3rd shot, which is the booster. And then, but yeah, the majority are double vaxxed.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's not you're right. It's not an anti-vax protest. If it was a truly anti-vax protest, it would never be this big. It's this big because this is checking off a lot of boxes on people's pissed off list. Let's be honest, right? Everybody's pissed off. Everybody's tired of this mandates and the lockdowns, and you're right. I mean, and that's the thing, because it's so easy to point a finger at this process and say, well, this guy's doing it for this reason, this guy's doing it for this reason. There's really going to be thousands of reasons. Everybody has their own reason for doing it. And as long as it's peaceful, right, as long as it stays civilized, I'm okay with this, and I'm a big supporter of this. And like you said, I don't think it is just against the vaccines. And my opinion of this is that if I go to protest, or if I were to help with this and be a part of this, I wouldn't be cheering stop the vaccine. I'm cheering pro-choice. Choose what you want to do. The same thing that we've been taught our whole life. Every civics class you've ever had, every political science class you've ever had in the Western world has been saying freedom and how we hold on to freedom of choice and stuff like this. So that's what it looks like to me.
Exactly. And that's what it was. And especially in this particular case, because it's not like abortion in this case. You're dealing with one body, and there's absolutely no there's absolutely no debate over who's getting affected by each vaccination, and that is the individual who's having to take the shot. Whereas the abortion debate is because of the fact that there is a little child that they say it's a safe procedure, but unfortunately there is no real safe procedure where there's one human being that dies, whether you consider them a person or not. If there's a loss of human life, it's not a safe procedure, no matter what. So these people want the right to be able to choose over their own body, just themselves. They're not having a second human life affected, just their own. And you have a government who is creating mandates to force people against their will to do certain things, and that doesn't fly.
Exactly. And to me, it goes back to the idea that they're saying there's only one solution, and the only one solution is the vaccine. That's the problem. The government is like the definition of liberty is going to be that the government can't dictate to you only one solution, or only one way to live, or only one way to breathe, or only one. So that's what freedom is, the choice of doing our own ways. But you're right. I think this is I'm behind it. So it's basically started Monday last week, and it basically went all week, or Wednesday or Monday, Tuesday, early on next week. It started last week. They arrived in Ottawa this weekend, or last weekend, so Saturday, I think, Friday, Saturday.
Well, I think around the 29th they hit Ottawa.
Okay, so 2 days ago. Yeah. And then so that's Saturday, and then now, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, a lot of them are still there, right? So being in Ottawa, do you have any sense of feeling of it? Is it's
not in my area, because the thing is, I'm far enough from downtown that I don't really complain about it. There are a lot of politicians who are complaining about traffic jams and all that stuff. There aren't really any.
No, honestly, it's Ottawa.
This is not the GTA. Ottawa has its fair share of traffic. I'll tell you that much.
Okay.
Well, but as of like, especially like before COVID, oh
Yeah.
yeah, you get a significant amount of traffic on the highway. So much to the point that you'd have routes to follow to avoid the highway.
Okay. Well,
But the
let's
thing,
talk about that then. What is the media saying about this? Do you think they're having a fair coverage of it or not?
I don't think the mainstream media that's owned by the government, I don't think they're giving a fair coverage of it
So
at all.
CBC in Canada.
CBC, CTV, they're not doing it their justice. But there are independent, smaller media outlets that
Rebel
are
News. Yeah.
that are actually giving it a lot more better coverage than one person who really stood out the most in in support of the whole thing, more for not necessarily for against vaccines, but against mandates, and also being towards actually telling the prime minister to go out and actually talk to these people instead of hiding in his hidey hole cottage back there, right?
Yeah.
Is that they need to, he needs to go on and speak to them and actually discuss the matter. Otherwise, how are you going to come to resolution? You can't force people to do things against their will. Trying to force someone to believe something is not as, that's what they did back in the Spanish Inquisition. They would, you have people who go up to like the Catholics would come. I'm Catholic, so I can say this, but the Catholics at the time would go up to the Protestants, hold them by the arm and with a sword and say, convert or convert. And if terrible. And he said no, they killed them. That doesn't win you the argument at all. You just lost. That just proved the Protestants' point in that case, right? So another thing is like the church has obviously changed over the past few centuries, but that was a very dark era in the Catholic Church at that time.
No, do you think back to the media, but do you think the media, the way I took it is that the media, I think, was very slow to pick this up. Alternative media right away, Rebel News and all these organizations were very quick, but the conventional media was pretty slow to pick it up. And I think, and what pissed me off, I'm not surprised, but the first thing that they reported on was, the Terry Fox statue that had a sign on it. There was a Canadian flag that was upside down. There was the tomb of the unmarked soldier. Someone was
dancing around.
Yeah. Now, to my understanding, I saw a video of people cleaning up the Terry Fox statue. I saw people cleaning up the area of the unmarked, soldier. And so, but the media automatically showed that. Oh, look, these racist white supremacists. I don't know where they're getting the white supremacist thing from. It drives me crazy, but because there's every color in the rainbow of people are there. So how are they white supremacists? But
there are brown people there too. I know
every color, except and even interviewed, right? Brown truckers being interviewed, European truckers, everybody's over here being interviewed, right? And so the media shows the bad stuff, and then now the alternative media is now showing this good stuff again. So hopefully the mainstream media now will pick up on these good stories. But I won't be surprised by the end of this. Nothing, CBC and the main guys, I won't be surprised if they only talk about the few negative things. Where if you're thinking about hundreds of thousands of people and one thing happened or two things happened, we're pretty darn lucky.
And the way that they tried to
if this was in Baltimore, if this was in Seattle, what kind of mayhem would have happened on a far left?
That's crazy. That's a damaging, violent riot. That's what that was what was there. They were burning down buildings. They were burning down businesses. Businesses in downtown have been untouched by anybody. No one's touched them. Okay. There are people who have opened, who are not afraid to open up, and they opened up, and what they said was, these people are not bothering us. They're not bothering us. That most people they come in, they have a cup of coffee, and then they go out, they have a little bit of food. They're customers. Right.
Well, if anything, this protest is going to stimulate the local economy a little bit. Coffee shops.
Exactly. Like coffee shops are going to do a lot of you got all this stuff coming from Alberta, right?
But this is frustrating for a lot of people. But one of the questions a lot of people are going to have is what can be done, right? What realistically is going to be, I know can be done, but what realistically is going to be done or is going to happen? Because I can't see Trudeau walk up to the microphone any day, today, yesterday, tomorrow, a week from now, and say, yeah, you know what, you guys are right. He's never going to do that. In the time he's ever been in politics, he's never admitted any sort of fault, any sort of, able area to develop, nothing, no fallibility, nothing. So I don't know how he's going to take this.
The only one I've ever known who has ever done that is Doug Ford. Doug Ford's the
He's pretty
only
honest
one
with his
who's ever, yeah,
mishappens. Yeah.
yeah, that stuff happened to him. He said something wrong, and I'll at least give him that. I will give him that. He
Yeah.
has come back and said, I was wrong. I made a mistake. My apologies. So
Yeah.
he has a little bit of, he actually has some integrity in that way.
Yeah.
So I have never seen that level of integrity from Trudeau. It takes a big man to be able to admit your own faults. And Trudeau is not that. Doug Ford is, Trudeau is not.
Well, exactly. And you know, just to defend Doug Ford for a second, I mean, he has enough attacks against him. I don't attack him anyway. But one of the things that I can defend Doug Ford, you know, against, I guess, is the idea that he is going to be honest, like, right? Like, you can use that as it's almost a get out of jail free card sometimes. You know, if you play stupid, say, well, I don't know any better. But he does it, you know, he does it well. It works to his advantage. But on the other side, you see an example. So on him, you see the example of sometimes humility, sometimes talking like he's very arrogant. But the other side, you see Trudeau, which is, like you said, the opposite. Never once have I seen even a glimpse of humility, even a glimpse of you know, just anything, even humanity, even out of him saying, you know, my bad, my mistake. It's always, I'm looking down. That's what I get when I hear him talk. He's like he's from his ivory tower looking down at the peasants.
That's essentially how it is.
I don't know. What has he spoken yet about this? I think he spoke today, but I might have missed it.
Trudeau?
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
He's up. He's holed up for about a week. Like, and here's the thing, right?
Well, let's talk about that. How did that happen?
Okay, so he said
the rumors of this convoy.
So there must have been there were rumors of the convoy. Now the convoy had been being arranged by a lady who was actually the one of the people who started Wexit. So for those of you who don't know what Wexit is, it's basically around 26, but sometime around between 2016 and with about 2020, around there was, between those 4 years, there was the whole Brexit thing where Britain was leaving the European Union, and then in the meantime, down south in the United States, they had the Blexit movement. Blexit meaning the black exit, where the Afro-Americans were leaving the Democrat Party, in droves. And then you have the Wexit movement, which was Western Canada exiting and trying, and basically their idea is they plan to separate from Canada. So not only now we have a problem with possibility of Quebec trying to separate now because of Trudeau. Alberta wants to leave, right? Alberta
has plenty of beef with Ottawa for sure.
And if Alberta leaves, we're screwed.
Yeah.
Because they are the breadbasket of this country. They pay the vast majority of finances and they fuel this country's economy.
Well, and that's what pisses them off, is that they've had to pay those equalization payments, right?
Yeah. And they've got all the snobs down here in Ontario and in Quebec going with the nose ups at the guys out west because, what are they? Oh, they're just farmers. Oh, they're just truckers. Yeah. Right. What am I? I'm an engineer. I'm a lawyer. I'm all this stuff. I've got an engineering background too, but I don't look down on the people who feed me or the people who send food to where I am so I can do my job instead of having to go out and be a farmer. Right.
And that's exactly it with this convoy, is that this reminds everybody that it's not only just as important to take care of the truckers, it's basically the most important thing. Because they're the food supply. They're not only the food supply, they're the medical supply. They're the everything supply. They're the electricity supply. They're the fuel. They're literally everything, right? Yeah, everything comes from
snow, removal, road maintenance. Everything relies on truckers a lot. Okay, you can't have trains come out to some of those spots.
You can't have a civilization without trains or without trucks running in your system. You can't have a city.
Yeah, trucks themselves, as machines, they revolutionized civilization during the Industrial Revolution, and now they are key importance to every single major developed country and even some underdeveloped countries throughout the world.
Yeah,
because they bring all the supplies in.
Exactly. I'm glad that this is shining the light on that. I mean, I've always known and I've always been pretty aware of how important truckers are. Just people working in the business and whatever. But this is good that it's shining light on this. My question now, if we can, how can this possibly not end? Because it's never going to, I don't know how it's going to end, but how does this end? If you can see, if we can have a little bit of a,
Okay,
crystal ball, what does this look like in a couple days, a couple of weeks?
If Trudeau actually did do a Doug Ford, if that's like willing, that's like, okay, are you going to win the lottery type of thing, right? So if we win the lottery and Trudeau actually becomes eats a bit of humble pie, admits that he was wrong, and comes back and actually tries to work something out with the truckers, okay? Because the biggest thing with the truckers, they're saying is, I'm stuck in my truck all day. How the heck am I going to pass this on? So you have to have a debate. You have to have get to the table with them, have a conversation. Have a conversation. If you want them to have take the vaccines, you have to give them a good case. You have to give them a good argument.
But to that point, though, like you said, 90% of them already have taken it.
Exactly.
And 80 or 90% of the general population have already taken it. So this is more than the vaccines now. This is just about the government overreach in general.
It's the government's control.
Overreach, exactly. It's pulling the strings where we don't want you anymore. We don't want them to. Yeah. So you're right. So that's how the problem with that is that when you have a group that has that idea, we don't have a spokesperson, right? They don't have someone who's going to talk, who's going to be representative to talk to Ottawa. And I'm afraid that this will kind of just dissipate, right? And what are you going to do?
I don't think it's going to dissipate. They actually have. They did a fundraiser. They have raised about $8 million or something like that.
Wow.
Eight something. No, sorry, I think it was 800,000.
So to fuel this whole thing.
Yeah, about 800,000 to 8 million or $8 million.
That can last a while. I think I saw something like 8 million. You're right. I think
I think it is $8 million that they've raised, and they've gotten 1,600,000, and all of that is going towards feeding and keeping these people.
Wow.
There, they have enough to stay there for 2 weeks with feeding everybody, right? So
that'll make an impact
there, and the government needs to take this seriously. Because if those truckers don't go back to work,
we're not eating.
We're not gonna eat.
It's right. Nobody's eating.
No one's eating.
Yeah.
Ottawa's screwed. Ottawa's screwed. No. Toronto's screwed. Every Ontario as a whole is screwed. Yeah. So is Quebec and every other province. So
that's why, like, I'm worried that like. I'm trying to think of a possible solution, right? Or I'm trying to think of something that he could say that would appease these people, or even appease me, make me happy. What could he say? I don't know at this point.
I don't, because these guys are essential services. They're basic infrastructure.
Do
that
exactly. So my point, I guess, is that
no one's bringing this up.
Well, exactly. I guess my point to you is that, like, my idea would be, if they said, well, what would you like them to do, Carlo? I'd say, well, they need to drop these mandates altogether. Like the vaccine passport. That's my idea, right? Drop the vaccine passport altogether. But what can he do? I mean, the border thing, he's not going to change, because the U.S. already has changed. They've made their vaccine mandatory. I can see him lifting restaurants, but isn't that a provincial thing? Like, I don't know about all that stuff.
Yeah, well, again, that could be a provincial thing, whatever the case is. But the thing is that vaccine,
you change his tone, though.
No, yeah, but the thing is that there's a long list of Trudeau policies. I'm not going to say liberal policies. These are patent Justin Trudeau policies, because there has been no previously there's been no liberal prime minister or even conservative prime minister who have had policies like this. That and essentially follow. If you look at them very, very closely, it looks like the pattern looks very much like communist China, like the communist part, the Chinese Communist Party, running things like Xi Jinping. Because let's put it this way: let's say that the mandates go in. Okay, what do the mandates do? They say, okay, if you want this, we'll give you. It's essentially what they do is the mandates, they take away your rights, and now they dangle it in front of you like a carrot.
So you have to buy them back.
Yeah, buy it back. If you do what we say, we'll let you do that. Guess who does that also?
Communists.
Thieves. Yeah, crooks. Yeah. Okay, what do they? These hustlers. What do? They steal your stuff. Like if you go like into like the subway system or something like that, they'll steal your stuff, and then if you want it back, oh, you want it back? Okay, buy it off me.
Yeah.
Pay me. That's no different from what this guy's doing, right?
Yeah.
Trudeau's being a real crook. And China does the same thing. And on top of that, now they have a vaccine passport. Guess what else China has? Is one of those
social credit score.
Social credit score. It's the same thing. And that's why I'm vaccinated, but I'm not getting a freaking passport. I don't give a damn. I'm not giving no freaking passport because I don't want the government tracking me. You crazy?
Well, that's exactly right. It's just one more piece of information to track you, one more bit of information to see what you're doing, when you're doing it, and everything. And people don't think that's a problem, but it is a problem because one day, or it could be used right now, just we don't know what anybody's using that data for, and that's the problem. You just go on Google one day, you just go on the internet, and you'll be suggested all these different websites, all these different things. Well, where do you think to get these algorithms from? Where do you think to get this data from? It's our choices, right? We're feeding into the machine every day. So you're right. It's like we just need to feed less into the machine.
Exactly. And the problem is that if it keeps on going, because what people don't know is that here's the thing. There's one thing that Xi Jinping and Justin Trudeau have in common, and that is that they're very big on the environment. Okay, Xi Jinping, because of trying to improve China's image, has gone full-blown environmentalist. Okay, they have he built. So he and the thing is with the communist advantage of a communist government, they can make decisions like that without consulting anybody. So what did he do? He decided that he was going to make a huge electric dam, one of the biggest in the world, right? And now this thing powers a great deal of the country, right? And with no emissions. So everyone's yay, clap. China did its thing, and they're going forward towards lowering their emissions. How did they do that though? Where was that dam built? Guess where it was built? Where it was built where there used to be a residential area. They tore down they kicked people out of their homes, their own homes that they own, that they bought with their hard-earned money, with their blood, sweat, and tears. They kicked them out, and then they tore down their homes.
Urban development.
And gave them no compensation, left these people homeless, and built this dam.
Brutal.
Right?
Well, it's all for the greater good, right? That's the thing. The promise of the communists is for the motherland,
all for the greater good, right?
Yeah.
But this is the case, is that this is the people who are against Justin Trudeau is over 52% of the country is against him.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a reason why we have a minority government. Yeah. Because if we went by a majority vote, Justin Trudeau would never be prime minister. It's because of that small little area, because of that one area in Toronto that gets a lot of seats, that he's in government, because that's one small area as opposed to the rest of the country.
Yeah. Now you mentioned earlier about people basically on board and fueling this, but were you talking about Theo Fleury, the hockey player? Is that who you were talking about? You were talking earlier about famous hockey. You were kind of alluding to someone earlier, and I thought you were talking about Theo Fleury.
Poilievre.
Oh, Poilievre. Oh, politician. Okay.
Pierre Poilievre. He was in full support of the truckers. And so is Stephen Harper.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. Elon Musk is supporting the truckers.
Elon Musk, he's there. Joe Rogan, Tim Pool. There are a lot of people, and it's gone international. And
it's common sense. I can't think of anybody who wouldn't support. What comes down to it, right? Anybody who has experienced life at all realizes that the trades, the blue collar, the people getting their hands dirty, that literally spins the world.
They're the blood of the country.
The blood, absolutely. Right? So, but it's funny because you almost need to get to a certain point in your life when you appreciate that. Once you appreciate that, you'll never think of it differently again.
Exactly.
It's almost like until you appreciate that, it's really a very, I almost say it's an entitled kind of approach. It's like you don't realize where your food comes from. Like, wait for a second.
I mean, even if you're dealing with, any good general knows that if there's an invading army, that if you want to stop them, what's the easiest way to get them to go back? Cut off the supply trains. So cut off the supply lines and starve the troops. So it doesn't matter who's in the front lines shooting and going glorious battle. Yeah. It's the guys behind the scenes who keep these guys up so that they can fight. If they don't have that, and that guess what? Then they're gone. Guess what? That applies for every single person in this entire country.
For sure.
Without the truckers, we're screwed.
Yeah. Now, what do you think? Like, if we can kind of wrap this up a bit, or not wrap it, but kind of put this to a focal point. Like, what do you think? What practically what could happen, and what do you think is going to happen? Is it going to be this week? You think is next week he'll just come out and talk, or
if he goes up and talks,
Justin, I'm talking about
Justin Trudeau, he needs to go out and talk. He
Mm.
needs to go out and talk to them, or at least send a group of people to to be able to deliberate with them.
Task force or something.
Yeah, some sort of task force to come to an agreement or a settlement with them. Okay, and what do they want? All they want is no mandates.
Yep.
No mandates. Simple as that.
And you know what? That's not extreme. At this point,
not.
At this point during this pandemic, we've had enough. It's reasonable now for us to say enough.
Yeah.
Reasonable. If we've been patient, right? That's the other thing. They've expected us to be this patient. And for us who have been patient, even the ones that have been complaining about it, we've generally been pretty patient. We're Canadians, right? Mm-hmm. We're not fighting, you know what I mean? But it's time now. I think everybody's been patient. We've shown our Canadian patience. Right.
Yeah. Oh, another thing is that the way that the left is spinning this, they're saying that they desecrated the Terry Fox, the Terry Fox statue. No, they didn't desecrate it. They decorated it.
They decorated it. And also,
they didn't do any damage to it.
Exactly. Right? It needs to be mentioned too that statue has been decorated many times for many other occasions.
Yes.
For pride parades, for other ceremonies. So it's not like that was never no, it wasn't defaced.
It's never been a thing. So yeah, if it's okay when the LGBT community does it, it's okay with any group on the left does it, but then if anyone on the right does it, or someone in the opposition does it, oh my gosh, they desecrated it, because you know what? Because now they're appropriating hero of our country to a side that is not their side or
part
that
of
they
their
agree
narrative.
with. Yeah, but they didn't really desecrate it. I mean, I've seen what they did to Sir John A. Macdonald's statue or Queen Victoria's statue. That was desecration, tearing it down, bashing it, putting graffiti on it. That's desecration. They put a cap on his head, put a scarf around his neck, and put a flag in his arm, on his hand.
Exactly. I mean, I'm pretty sure Terry Fox ran for cancer, but he also ran for medical freedom to do whatever he wanted to do, choose or not treatment, right? So it's all about that freedom too. So I don't know. I think he's going to talk to them, right? It makes sense. He's going to talk. I don't know. I would love to see, in my heart of hearts, I'd love to see them say, okay, we're going to drop these mandates, but I can't see it happen yet. I think it'll take some more time.
Yeah, but if he doesn't, well, guess what? These people are gonna be here for a long time, and I know that they're saying that, like the news is saying that's taking what, $80,000 a day or something like that in order to police these folks. The police have not really had any issues with these folks. There are a few rowdies, but the thing is, the moment the police showed up and told them to get in line, they got in line.
Mainstream also reported that this is being vandalized, and I want to show you that is not the case. This is what is happening here. Flowers, respect, love, gratitude. The police are here. Question for you. Was this vandalized at all?
Not today.
No, I don't believe so. No, that wasn't today.
Mainstream media is saying that there
I think it was like one person or something like that. I don't know.
Yesterday, I think there was a video of somebody dancing on the soldier yesterday.
Someone was being
yesterday, but today I was here. Good part of the day, nothing happened. These veterans were making sure that nothing was going on.
And what do you see happening right now over here?
Yeah.
There haven't been any violence. There hasn't, like, it's been fair. It literally has been a very peaceful protest. There are some people who are getting pissed off because amongst that group there are small, teeny, like we can probably count on one hand how many people are going around with swastikas, right?
Yep.
So there are some
out of millions and millions and millions of Canadians.
Yes, and the vast majority of them, there are mothers that are out there, mothers and fathers who are out there because particularly the ones whose children have been the victim of, who have eventually committed suicide. These children, because of the lockdowns, they have developed depression and they've eventually committed suicide. And there are mothers who are fighting against the lockdowns because they don't want this to happen to anyone else's kid. There are nurses who have lost their jobs, and they're also fighting against that because there are nurses who didn't want to take the jab. Then that was up to them.
Good point. This incorporates a lot of more people than just truckers. You're right. This incorporates cops, firefighters, nurses, doctors, post office, anybody who's had to either make a decision to leave that job, right? Get suspended without pay. So a lot of people like that right now, right? That are just off without pay, or get essentially coerced, into getting that shot. Like if someone has to get the shot to keep their job, that's not really free will. Let's be honest.
No, it's not. You're not. If the moment that you force someone to do something, you've lost the argument.
That's right.
That's the thing. You've lost your point. You've not made your point.
Yeah.
What you've done is shown that you can't really convince them because you have to resort to force. I mean, if you look at the Bible, like a good example for the Bible, okay? If you teach it in the Bible, the Bible teaches that God gave us free will. God also gave us commandments.
Yeah.
So they can freely follow them.
Yes.
So he knows very well what we should be doing.
Yeah.
But he gave us free will to follow us on our own choice.
And if you follow those commandments, you're in better shape.
Yeah, if you follow the commandments, you're in better shape. If you're not, then you get screwed up. So if someone makes, if you're an adult and if you screw up, make it your own, and if you make a bad decision, that's on you.
Consequences.
Right?
Yeah.
Consequences. That's it. And people are going saying, oh, this is selfish. It's selfish. Well, there are a lot of people who do selfish things. Abortion is a selfish thing, whether you like it or not, because a good only 10% of abortions are due to rape, incest, and problems with the mother's health. Only 10% of them are. The other 90% are due to selfishness because they're
that's a lot.
They're due to selfish reasons because they don't want to have the consequences of their actions. So same scenario. Okay, you can take it or leave it. People have their reasons for doing whatever they do, and if these people who are liberals or call themselves liberals, more like far lefties, because even guys like Bill Maher would look at this and be down,
this is crazy,
saying that these guys that the people on the left are crazy, right? He's already doing it, right? With the people down south. So if this keeps on going, it's not going to help, because this is not some fringe minority that as Prime Minister Trudeau says, a fringe minority with unacceptable views. The guy talks like he's Xi Jinping. No,
well, exactly. He talks like He talks like a communist, a fascist, a dictator, basically. And no, it's crazy. But I honestly, let's recap again next week, because maybe we can do kind of a timeline, because I think it's not going away in a week. It'll still be there. We'll see what goes on. We'll see if there's any progress. I would love to see mandates dropped. I would love to see, or even just loosened a bit or changed. But like you said, everybody is standing up now, because this is a great representation of everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. It shows a large group of people, that represent a large chunk of this country, that represent the actual majority of people in this country that don't believe in this, that don't believe in having to be forced to do something against their will.
The other thing too is that this shows how out of touch Justin Trudeau is, in my opinion. If he thinks this really is a small fringe minority, then he's out of touch. Either his analysts are telling him wrong information, his consultants are telling him wrong information, or he's just plain out lying. Right? And if he is trying to deceive us, then it's going to come out in the wash. I think he's going to get demolished in another election if he tries to stay in politics.
But the only problem is that the people down in Toronto need to get their eyes opened up.
They're still bootlicking. I know.
Yeah, there's just unfortunately there are a lot of folks that are bootlicking Trudeau, the Liberals, because whether you like it or not. And here's the thing: my parents are first generation immigrants, so I can say this. Okay, is that when you come into this country, and my wife is also a first generation immigrant. The thing is when you come into this country, you know very little about the politics here or what goes on. To start off, it takes years for you to finally figure out what's going on. That's what happened to my father. That's what happened to even my wife, right? And my mother too. It took a lot of time for them. My uncle, one of my uncles, he picked up really fast on it because he really watched this stuff. But the thing is that you can when you go with whoever allowed you into this country, right?
Yeah, whoever's supporting you and whoever
who's
governments.
supporting you and all that stuff, and you vote for them. But you don't really know what goes on, like what's behind that person's intentions
until you start to try and have a business or try and
exactly.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
he starts to, okay, pay up type of thing, or
Yeah.
okay, you better vote for me and keep me in power so I make you pay up.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Des, let's wrap this up. So next week we'll convene again, right? We'll see what's going on with Ottawa. I think they'll be there. Let's make a prediction. I think they'll still be there this time next week. I really do.
I think they're still going to be there until they actually until the Liberal Party, on the government itself, finally makes some lays some groundwork towards proper civil deliberation in this and debate on this.
Yeah,
they have to have talks. They have to come down and sit there. The Liberals are denying that these people want to talk. They do want to talk.
Yeah, of course.
They do, and they've been all very vocal about it. We want to be able to sit down and talk with our prime minister, with our government. Awesome. Yeah. So,
well, and that's what we should hope for, because that's it. You can only get progress once you talk, and that's why free speech is so important. You need to have this discussion. Yeah,
right.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Des. Thanks again, everybody, for listening. Thanks for watching episode 29 of Centerville Voice. It's been a pleasure, my friend.
Yep. We'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Awesome. Cheers, guys.
Thanks for joining in and watching Centerville Voice. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you are seeing this on YouTube, make sure you click on the notifications bell so you get notified when we upload new videos, which we release every Friday. Sharing and liking our videos helps promote the channel, and sharing episodes like these helps get the word out so that more people will get to see our videos. If you like what you see and or hear, please consider becoming one of our Patreon supporters. 10% of all Patreon supporter donations we receive goes to our charity of the year. You can visit us at centervillevoice.com to learn more and engage with us on one of our social media pages. Thanks for your support, and we will see you again in our next video or podcast.